which is the width thereof, was 6 cubits. And let me just say, because I think I said it was 6 feet wide, but it is 9 feet wide, right? He set this up in the plain. It means that he set it up in a place where it can be seen from great distance, from a lot of different angles. For instance, if you have it on the National Mall, if you are on that mall, you would see this image that is almost 8 stories high, 90 feet tall. And listen, the king had a dream. Y'all remember this? And the dreams could not be interpreted by all these Chaldeans, magicians, and who's the other guy? Soothsayers, right? These were the elite. They were able to tell the king. I guess the king kind of got tired that he's been lied to too many times, and when he don't know the difference, after a while, he come to realize these fools are lying to me, saying stuff that ain't coming to pass. And this dream that he had, the last dream he had, he literally says, I ain't going to tell you the dream. I want you to tell me what I dreamt and then give me the interpretation thereof. And when his guy says to him, no, hey, that's never been done before. I can't tell you what you dream. Tell me the dream and I will interpret it for you. And he wasn't playing this time around. He says, I know y'all just, trying to make time, trying to stall me, but I'm serious about this thing. If you can't tell me what I dream, you're probably going to make some stories up and tell me what the dream is. If you can't tell me, there's only one decision that's going to be made. I'm going to cut y'all off. And when they couldn't come up with an answer, you got to understand that Daniel, they had just been brought into this group that will be one of the counselors, if I may use that term, to the king. They kind of new to this, the 4 boys. And so when they couldn't, there was one decree. You're dead, right? And they begin to start killing some of these soothsayers, Chaldeans, and what? Magicians, right? So it's so much so in the process of time, Daniel stepped forward and interpreted the dream, told the king the dream, and then interpret the dream, and the king found favor in Daniel, promoted him, and then Daniel requests for his boys to be promoted over various providences as well. Are you there? But if you think for a minute that everybody's going to shout hallelujah and thank you Jesus because you got promoted, think again. If you're working for somebody and you're working in a company, you may have a few that celebrate your rise in the company, but you're also going to have a bunch of haters. And they're looking for an opportunity to bring you down in hope that they may get lifted up. Oh yeah, Christians, don't be silly. All right? But if you know who your God is, see, you may very much aware that this is happening around you, but you also serve a God that works behind the scenes. Working out things that you don't know of. Do you understand what I'm saying? These guys been mad for a long time, and you know what happened. When God start blessing you, the only person that's mad is, help me somebody, the devil. Are you there? And so it really was just a matter of time before they start bringing a false accusation against those who God has blessed. But I heard a text that says, who God bless, help me somebody, no man can what? Curse. King Nebuchadnezzar wanted to be glorified, wanted to get some praise. Probably a little what's the word? What's the word? Do y'all know anybody who's like that? Don't say no name. All right. Amen. Right? But he have a narcissistic behavior, like most of the people before him. And the Lord always bring them down. But you know, the Lord had really set this man up to be this great leader. So with him having vision of this huge image, which The text point this out for you, that the image was made, the head was of gold, that it had clay, it's got iron, it's got silver. Nebuchadnezzar decided, I'm going to build a tall image, but now I'm just going to make the whole thing entirely gold. And everybody is going to bow down and worship it. Now verse 2 through 7 gives you detail as to what happened, what he wanted to be done, what was done, and who did not follow. He wanted everybody to bow down and worship the image when they hear the sounds of the various instruments. Verse 7 tells you that everybody immediately bow down and worship. But there was these three guys who, well, the only person I bow down to is God. Chaldeans discover that they did not bow, and in your text, they brought word to the king. Are you there? And you can understand they got some influence. They were part of the king's, people that he listened to. But these Chaldeans were what seems to have taken, in the meaning, it referred to the learning class of priests and magicians and astrologers. They were supposed to be the elite. And as we said, because they were passed over in rank because of Daniel's skill, gift, and intellect, they obviously were carrying a grudge. So they brought words to the king, verse 8. And the king was furious. What was the word that they brought? The word they brought to the king was that there are certain Jews that does not seem to follow your decree. Are you there? And they named the one specifically who they wanted to be dealt with: Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Are you there? When they told the king that they don't bow down, and they rehearsed in the king's ears what the king decree was. Now, I see, if I may just for a moment pause here. Do you not know that this is a real good principle to follow? What I mean by, you see how they got before the king and rehearsed before the king what the king had said? And now they're holding the king to it, to carry out what he said he will do if you don't do thus and thus. The king had no choice but to respond, because if he didn't, whatever the king says is law. Y'all get that? I'm getting a little bit close to talk about your king, if you'll understand what I'm saying, right? When he makes a decree, he makes a decree. And if you follow his decree, it means that you're going to receive the just reward for being obedient. Isn't that right? Yeah, but if you're outside of what he said, if you deliberately decide not to obey the decree that is made, you're setting yourself up for what? Well, failure is one thing, but judgment will come against you, right? Okay, so listen, even though they use this in a negative sense, to go to the king, to say to the king, they didn't do what they said to do, therefore, according to our law and according to your law, you're going to have to respond accordingly. And the king couldn't help but to respond accordingly, because, listen, he was the one who made the decree. Y'all get that? And so verse 8 says that he was enraged. He was angry at the fact that somebody in his kingdom would have the audacity to do what they want to do and not follow what he says. Yo, don't miss where I'm going here. Now listen, we serve a king. All right? As believers in Jesus Christ, every single one of us has brought ourselves under the covering of God. Are you there with me? And so if we will only be obedient to do what God says, especially when we know what he says, then you should be expecting the blessings of God. In the same token, if you know what he says and decide to go against him in defiance and do what seems pleasing to you, you should not be expected to be blessed. Does that make sense? Okay, so they went to the king, and they make this request, and the king, obviously, verse 8, was in what? Rage. Wherefore, at the time, note real quick, certain Chaldeans came near and accused the Jews. They spake and says to the king, Nebuchadnezzar, O king, live forever. So the first thing they did, they fluffed him up, make him feel good. Do you understand? This is a common greeting. They fluffed him up. O king, live forever. Are you there? But king, I just want to let you know that things are always not what it seems. There are people in your cabinet that totally is being defiant against your plan. Oh yeah? Though, O king, thou hast made a decree, and here it is that they're outlining the decree. That every man that shall hear the sound of the cornet, the flute, the harp, the psaltery, and what's that other instrument? The sound. Now what instrument is that? Y'all ever see that? All kind of music shall fall down and what? Fall down and do what? Worship what? The golden image. And whosoever whosoever falleth not down and worship, that he should be what? They should be cast into what if they don't? Yo, listen. This is not just even regular fire. This was his order. This is not just regular fire, but inside of a furnace, which means you're going to burn till your bones become powder if you don't. Now watch this real quick. These boys know that at least if they don't follow the king's decree, at least they were going to put into a furnace and they're going to burn till there's no bone left. At least. And yet, I'm talking about just being sold out and sold out no matter what. If you all see anything in this, it is this. Is that if you can hang in there, listen, and do what God said, in spite of, you're going to be blessed. Are you there? Mm-hmm. So they would be burned in fire. Therefore, there are certain Jews, they said, who does not bow down, that you have set over the affairs of the providence of Babylon. You all see this? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. I just wanted to stop there real quick. Because the mere fact that they emphasize the fact there are certain Jews, you know the ones that you promoted above us? You set them over the providence. Don't think he don't know who's in his cabinet. You understand? But the emphasis on their occupation and how they've been promoted shows you what they've been hating on for a long time. Yeah. O king, they have not regard thee. Y'all get this? Now it's one thing to be able to say, they didn't bow down. And the king could have, I wonder why. Maybe they have arthritis or something going on with the knees or something like that. You know what I mean? For whatever reason, but no, they outright told the king, they just don't regard you, period. Now, just that alone, without not describing the act, is enough to throw the king in rage. Y'all get that? They don't respect you. They don't respect your authority or your position. You understand? Plainly, they just don't regard you as a person, regard anything you say, and the laws that you set up. Y'all get this? They have not regard thee. They serve not thy gods, nor worship the golden image which you have set up. Then Nebuchadnezzar, in his rage and fury, commanded to be brought to him. Y'all get this? I mean, is this a good way to get somebody to enact revenge on your enemy? You the person who you're relying on to do this, just go tell him a story that just put him totally against those individuals. Y'all know what, there's not going to be any justice now, right? But there is something about the king that got my attention. Let's get to it, because with the rage that he raged to the extent that he told them, go get them and bring them to me. Your commentary said that they were dragged before the king. You understand? Yeah, who were dragging them? Of course. They didn't just bring these men. These are cabinet officials. Right? And you know what it's like when you're brought before the principal. Y'all ever been brought before the principal? Or y'all was pretty good in school? Y'all ever get called to the principal's office? All right, so y'all, let me tell you what it's like being called to the principal's office. All right? When you're called to the principal's office, everybody in the school knows, yeah, right, that you've been called, because it goes over the intercom. And if there's 1,400 people in your school, they all know you just got called down to the principal's office. And so you got to make your way down to the principal's office, and then you're going to have to stand before him. And where I come from, so y'all had it good right here in America, because you got laws that protect your butt. Or y'all get whipped. I know what it's like to be called before Mr. Manning. Mr. Manning got a leather belt, which is about 3 inches wide. I know it's like about 3 inches, because wherever it hit, it leaves the mark there for a while. You can measure it. Yeah, you can go home and go tell your parents that you got whipped like you want to, because then you're going to have to explain why you got whipped and why there's a scar remain, and a scar suggests that you must have really done bad, that you may have been hit with a little bit more power than usual. Now, just imagine being called to the principal's office. This is not even the principal. This is a king. Because the principal may not kill you, but the king may just wipe you out for, you know what I'm saying? Because he have the, help me somebody, the authority and the power to do so. Yo, they were dragged before the king. And I love the king that even in his rage, he extend a certain level of kindness and grace towards them. Are you there real quick? No. So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, then they brought these men before the king. King Nebuchadnezzar, verse 14, spake and says unto them, is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Do not you serve my gods, nor worship the golden image which I have set up? This is what they say. Is it true, though? And he's given them an opportunity to answer for themselves. But note real quick. Without them answering, you know they didn't really answer at this point. He gave them an opportunity to show the world that they does indeed regard him. Because listen, I appointed you. I know something about you. I tried you boys. Y'all remember how they were tried? They were smarter, more intelligent than everybody else. They did not eat the king's meat the whole time. They were standing with their dietary restrictions. Not to eat anything that is offered to idol, because doing so would suggest that they support that level of idol worship. So instead, we'll just eat fruits and vegetable and not the king meat which they first offer up to. They did not want to, what's the word? Defile themselves. The king knows these boys. And so he said, I heard that you don't regard the things that I set up. But look, I'm going to give you another chance. That's verse 15. Now, if you would be ready, that at what time you heard the sound of the cornet, the flute, the harp, the sackbut, the psalmistry, and what's that word again? Dulcimer, and all kinds of music, what you should do? Okay, what did he say you should do when you hear it? Fall down and worship what? The image that what? That I have set up. Bro, I'm going to give you another chance. I'm going to give you another chance. I'm not just going to cause a sentence over you because somebody else says so. And maybe you had not regarded me earlier. But yo, bros, I'm going to give you a chance to get that right. Y'all get that? Now, you give them a second chance, man. Yo, listen. This second chance right here is grace. Y'all see this? And so listen. How many times you may have, all right, so I'm not going to do this, right? I'm not going to do this because it goes against my own belief. This is you, right? You're talking to your employer, talking to your boss. This job means everything to you. This what pay your bill, all your bills, and any other bills that you plan to incur. This job, this is the conduit for everything, all of your plans. This is the foundation for everything that I want to do. Did y'all get this? This job. And yes, I've been here now for 20 years. And you're faced with a situation whereas this 20 years can just up in the wind because you decide not to do what your boss says we need to do. Now that could be anything. It could be you now gonna have to steal so that the company can create a bigger revenue. Whatever it is. You're doing something now that will potentially harm people, but nobody's gonna know unless you say so. This is your job. It has changed. It's rubbing against everything you believe. You know that you're about to blow your testimony because you're about to do something that God said you are not to do. But this is your job. You got kids in school, you got a mortgage, or you got a rent, you got car payment. You need this medical benefit because you just been diagnosed with cancer. And you need this medical. You are totally dependent upon this. But now this one thing, I could do this thing and nobody else know about it. I could do this thing and everything would be all right. Nobody would even question me on it. Y'all get this? And some may even do it if there ain't nobody else looking. But how many of y'all know that whatever is done in secret will surely come to light? You can do this thing and look around, losing the microscope, and think that nobody sees it, but God, who will lead you with his very own eyes, is seeing everything you do. I could do it and get away with it. Nobody would know. I would have kept my job. I would have kept my house. I would have had my medical. I would have been able to go to the doctor. I would have been able to keep that car. Nobody would know about it. But in my heart, I know I just violated the principle of what I stood for. This is a hard place. You understand? And now you're standing before the king because you messed up the first time, and the king says, I'm going to give you another chance. You were defiant in the distance, but now right in front of him, what you going to do? Because he just have one judgment. We ain't got to go find you. You're right in front of the king. The king says, when the music sound, when you hear all the instrument according to the law that I have decreed, then just go ahead and bow down and let them look like a liar. Y'all see this? Now, if when you hear the instrument, yeah, which I have made, well, but if you worship not, you shall be cast into the same furnace. Watch this. I guess this was really what he said, that really, because sometimes your audacity and your pride and your mouth sometimes just, the king said, what God is going to save you from my hands? And for some of you, I can hear you now. Well, your king, you almost had me there, but now when you disrespect my God like that, you should have just leave him out of it. I probably would have just do what and then go repent before God. But now you invoke him in this conversation. You put him in this conversation, and this is what they throw at us all the time. You understand? He's always praying. Yeah. He's always showing up at that church, giving his money away. And look what's going on with them personally in their house. The people of God go through some stuff, and the world sees it, and they ain't praying for you. They just say, yeah, I always know that all that stuff they've been professing. Some of them even say, well, it don't seem to be working for them. I'm telling you, man. You know what I mean? That's why when you're going through, you got to go through gracefully. You got to go through holding your head up. Can I just stop there for a second? If you have to go through, and listen, we have gone through. I don't see people suffer like the people of God suffer, but I understand why they do. Do you understand? I've been to more funerals for believers dying from cancer than the world. I've been to more hospital beds for believers than the unbelievers. In fact, if y'all think this is funny, look in the Psalms. The psalmist was just like, all I did was give myself to the church. Everything I do revolve around my service in the synagogue. But every time I looked up, I see the unbelievers getting blessed. Their children, they go to the best schools. They drive the nicest car. They live in the biggest house. They don't seem to have any problem. And I'm suffering from arthritis. I got a thorn of flesh, And the psalmist says, I looked at that stuff. He said, I almost slipped, which means I was about to blow this thing. I almost backslid because it looks like God had forgotten about us. And I was about to lose it, and then something says to me, get yourself together and get into the house of God. He said, when I got into the house of God and I got before the altar, then finally it come to me that I'm the one that's being blessed even though I'm broke. Because the matter is, the truth is that you are rich even when you ain't got nothing in the bank. When you can't pay the bill, you're the one that's rich. But the person who got $1 million is broke. How many of y'all saw Michael Jackson with all that money? How many of y'all saw them people that are committing suicide? They got all the money, all the substance in the world, but they ain't got no peace. Y'all get this? When your hands are in the hands of God, it don't matter what's going on, man. Ooh, it looks bad, but really and truly, it is good. Look a little bit closer. There is more for us than that are against us. Are you there? You stand tall even when it's not popular to do so. You keep the faith even when everything around you is suggesting that you should just walk away from it. Are you there? Man says, wish God is going to deliver you out of my hands. And if you're a true believer in Jesus Christ for real, and you are bound by your own convictions and your purpose in your heart like these boys' purpose, that no matter what, I ain't going to bow to no foolishness, you will say, I'm about to show you. Wish God will deliver me. But watch this real quick. I said that so easy. It really is a question to you as to whether or not you will ever find yourself being able to do that. Would you muster up the courage? You know, the truth of the matter is that sometimes we can talk a lot of talk, but we really don't know how we're going to respond until that situation really hits us. The children in Columbine would never have known that they have enough courage and enough faith to believe God even when a loaded gun is pointed to their head. The story of this young girl who became a martyr because she believed God. When they know that she was a Christian, one of the guys who had the guy who had the gun know that she's always talking about Jesus. She says, well, listen, I forgot what it is that he may have asked her to do. And she must have professed like, I love Jesus. And he said, okay, well, go be with him. Boom. You just never know. The reality is that you can't pre-plan a situation like this. You understand? But God says, I'll put the word in your mouth at the time. When you're brought before kings, and you know what I mean, when your life depends on it. And this was the case. He says, what God is going to deliver you out of my hands. Look at the next verse. Verse 16. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answer and says to the king, watch this, O king, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. Did he say we're not what? We are not careful. Whew, I wish I could read that over here in another verse. I should have checked this. I should have checked this to see, is that what you said in the English language? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they say, O king, we do not need to defend ourselves before you. Yo, listen, you ain't talking to your boy here. And I'm sorry, this is not the principle. You understand? No. Your game your game is on fleek now. They said, look, king, man, we don't have to defend ourselves before you. This is a matter where I don't even have to think twice about. Y'all get this now? We are not careful to respond to you in this manner. In other words, hey, I don't even have to think about it. This is almost like breathing to them. It's like, just like I breathe effort, I'll tell you, yo, king, yo, man, go ahead, call who you got to call. Go call whoever it is that's going to throw us in the furnace. Because this I ain't got to think about. I don't need to sleep on it. I don't need to think about it. I don't need to request any counsel about the decision that I'm about to make. I can just tell you right now, listen, I'm not careful. I ain't even going to defend myself. Because the answer for me is only one answer. I ain't going to do this thing even if my life depends on it. Why? I trust God. Oh, then they say something more. What? Did they say something more? Well, hold on. He said, if it be so, God who we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace. Y'all get this? I'm not thinking about it. I don't have to defend myself, but if it be so, God is able to deliver us. Well, wait a second. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, it seems like y'all having amnesia here. Yeah, because he didn't always show up now, does he? Oh, y'all missed this. Minister, behave yourself because I'm going somewhere. It's in your lesson. It's in your text, right? Because when these boys needed God the most, as young kids being ripped away from their mama and their father and from their country, y'all see this in the text? Where was the Lord? Where was God? A lot of questions was asked after 9/11. After 9/11, you know, those that were outside the church that don't understand how God works and think that God is moved by every single thing. You know what I mean? That he's weeping and crying, oh, I wish I could have done something. They ask this question, what God will allow such evil to happen? Where was God when the Twin Towers came down? And somebody responded by saying, he was the same place. He was in the same place when his son was killed. When his son was put on the cross. When he was falsely accused and sentenced to death. He was in the same place. Where is that place? Help me somebody. Where is that place? On the throne. On the throne. On the throne. So here goes these young boys. These young boys. God didn't seem to intervene when they were being dragged. Do you not know that there is an absolute reason why God allows some things to be? And listen, and even if he doesn't respond at the time when you want him to respond, does he mean that he's not capable of delivering? No. See, the sovereignty of God, and because we don't understand everything, how God and how he does everything, we sometimes question his integrity as to why he responds to this prayer immediately as I pray, and then other times he delayed. Right? Watch this real quick. The boys were kept in the hands of God. No harm was come up against them. It was a massive deportation. They were removed from their country. But God was the one who opens the door that they should walk in. It was God who favors them. That now they are not holding just the blade, but they are actually holding onto the handle. That they are not, help me somebody, the tail, but they are in headship. You understand? It's only God that can do that. So even now they says, I know, I'm facing a death sentence here. But even now, like Job said, though he help me somebody, though he, yet will I what? Trust him. Even if he never heals. I'm going to ask him for healing. I'm going to believe in him anyhow, right? If I'm on my deathbed and he had not healed the last person I prayed for, I'm calling out to him in prayer now, and I'm believing that he, without a doubt, he is the healer. He is Jehovah Rapha, even if he didn't Rapha the last body I prayed for. So, I love this because the boy's faith is not shaken. That when it didn't seem like he delivered them the last time, yet in this time, the only one I know to call upon is who? Come on, somebody. Y'all say it like you're not too sure. Who are you going to call upon? Jesus. They said, listen, you know what? My faith is in God and in God alone. He will deliver us. But even if he doesn't, I'm still not bowing down to this mess. Y'all get this? I wish y'all faith could be like that. No matter what, I'm not selling out. It don't matter what it looks like. I'm going to stay with God because he has been proven and tried. I ain't never known him to fail. Y'all get this? It don't matter what it looks like. You pray 100 prayers, and if he didn't answer 100 times, you pray 101 prayer, because God is God, and he's going to do what he's going to do when he wants to do it, and he ain't got to explain nothing to anybody. He's God. The boys, they said, even if he doesn't, we're going to trust him anyhow. Watch this. So they said, even if he, what? If it be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will what? Deliver us out of what? Out of your hands. Y'all see that? Okay. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. I will not bow down to an idol, no matter what. Now I know this is a tall order for us in Christianity, because we don't understand that we can attain something greater than ourselves. Sometimes we feel like we just have to give in because it's much easier. And because our faith needs to be checked sometimes. You know, it's okay to say, God, increase my faith. I can believe you in this thing. I can believe you in that thing. But this one here is kind of stretching me. And if we're honest enough, this is when we say, God, increase my faith. Help my unbelief. Do you understand? These boys were totally sold out. It didn't matter what was going to happen. They simply was not going to bow, because the 10 Commandments, which they have adhered to, simply said, don't bow down to no image. Secondly, don't worship it. There's a whole lot going down here. Don't bow down to it. Don't worship it. And they would rather die than to do something that God says not to do. May we glean from these examples as we move forward. In our lives and in our culture, we're going to be challenged time and time again. And we got to make a decision. Whose side are you going to be on? I tell you this, you're going to be in the right if you will be on the Lord's side. Amen. God, let me hear you say, God